So everybody's going nuts because Sheryl Swoopes released some of her texts to Caitlin Clark. And we already know she did that. That's not anything new. That's not new news. I guess she's trying to do a little moonwalking and calm the storm a little bit. Now, the first thing is you ain't got to go through all of these antics if what you were doing were legit. That's the first thing. So she's trying to calm the storm a little bit, and rightfully so. She may have just cost herself a job. So she's got to do some backtracking and some backpedaling to try to salvage this, because at the end of the day, she doesn't play anymore, and she still got to get a paycheck. And if nobody wants to listen to you and everything you're doing is podcasting and being in the media and things of that nature, yeah, you got to do damage control. That's par for the course. Not the first time, won't be the last. And I would also say that there have been plenty that have done a lot worse and had to do a lot less to get their position back. So Sheryl Swoopes is just, it's surprising and it's annoying, all the things that she's went through. Because again, and I've said this before, she know how the sausage is made. She know what it means to be on media, to be in the limelight and everything like that. And she's been in this new age of media long enough to know that whenever you do something, especially on Twitter or when you're on somebody's podcast, everybody got receipts. So it's not about you don't like me. It's about you can go back and look at what was said and they can point things out. And they've been doing that ever since the Gilbert Arenas podcast. She was wrong there. She said she apologized for it. And I believed her then. But it's been everything since that. And that is the stuff that you can't deny. And it's a bad look. Again, and I've said this before this season, nobody had a problem, or let me not speak for everybody. I never had a problem with Sheryl Swoopes as a commentator or as an analyst or anything like that. She was pretty good. She knows she's been in the game. She's been a coach, and she's been on the plus and minus side of every level. She's won and lost as a player. She's won and lost as a coach. She's been fired as a coach. Her track record as a head coach was a little suspect. I remember when she first got fired, I believe this was back like in 2016, and they were saying she was being too mean. Then at the time, everybody wants to come out, well, you can't coach players like you used to. So it was a little bit of that aspect of it. Were the players soft? Was the coach too hard? My guess is it was probably somewhere in the middle. At some point in time, I'm guessing, she probably said something she probably shouldn't have said, or that she was used to back when she played. And that was during the shift in you can't coach players hard. Everything was going on with parents coming in the stands and all of that kind of, it was just an amalgamation of a whole bunch of crap. So who knows why she really got fired? Did she get fired because just a couple of players didn't like her? Or was it more to it than that? In any case, she knows what's required. She knows what you need to do. If you are going to be an analyst, yes, you have to be unbiased. And I keep saying this, you cannot like somebody and still give an honest assessment of what you see on the court. Do you really think all of those commentators and analysts for the NBA, there's a lot of people that don't like LeBron. There's a lot of people that probably don't like Steph, KD, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, name your star, Kyrie. And I could probably line up or find something that someone has said on the air that wasn't too kind in that regard. But they still got to do the job when they're in the mix, when they're calling the game, whether you like Kyrie, whether you like KD, whether you did like Kobe at the time, whatever the situation was, whether you were a LeBron fan or not, you still got to be balanced in what you see on the court. You got to call it like you see it. And the optics were, she was not doing that. The dead silence on the live feed, and there's been other situations, is like, you can't do that. The stuff that Stephen A was calling her out for. Now, you know, if people are siding with Stephen A. Smith, you know that's a problem. Because there's many people that don't like Stephen A. Smith, or as many people that don't like Jason Whitlock. And it's a shame that Jason Whitlock and Stephen A. Smith are probably on the same side of the coin in this particular instance. I don't want to see anybody lose a job. I don't like to see when players get cut. I don't like to see when coaches get fired, but I understand that is the nature of the business that we are in when you are talking about professional sports. And Sheryl Swoopes knows that. So what she has to do is, and I'll say it again, you don't have to gush over Caitlin Clark. You don't have to gush over Angel Reese. Just call it like you see it. And I'll even say, Nancy Lieberman, what she said on the broadcast the other day, it was great. And I know she was pumping up Caitlin Clark and all of that kind of stuff. But in my opinion, to me, that was gushing because you didn't need to say that. Everybody knows how great Caitlin Clark is. People have told Caitlin Clark how well she's doing and how much they appreciate her. They've said that before. So in my opinion, the way Nancy Lieberman came at Sheryl Swoopes, because basically that's what she was doing. She was counteracting all of the shade that Sheryl Swoopes was throwing. And it just did the same thing, just in the opposite direction. So it didn't bother me one way or the other. I just thought it was unnecessary. It was not needed. If Nancy Lieberman had never said anything about Caitlin Clark during that game, we still would have said that was a great broadcast because it was a great game. So I don't think that those comments elevated the broadcast any bit. So you can take it or leave it. That's just my opinion. A lot of people have expressed, they said, are you crazy? That's exactly what was needed and all of that kind of stuff. I just disagree. I didn't think it was needed one way or the other. You don't need the super negative comments and you don't need the super positive comments. Just call the game. Just call the game. Again, everybody knows how good Caitlin Clark is. The people that are mad that Caitlin Clark is successful, they'll just be mad by themselves. The people that don't like that Angel Reese is successful, they'll just be mad by themselves. And it goes on both sides. There's some Angel Reese fans in Chicago that go above and beyond, and it's unwarranted. There are some Iowa and Caitlin Clark fans on the flip side of that go above and beyond, and it's unwarranted. And everybody falls back onto some of the things that people say on social media. It's wrong, and it's never a good place for that. Yes, that is 100% correct. Nobody deserves to get death threats and all of that kind of stuff. But people got to understand that when you are on this social media platform and everybody can say what they want to say with impunity, meaning there are no repercussions for what you say. When people get on here and can go unchecked, that's what you're going to get. That's what you've been getting. So that is no surprise. But at the end of the day, the greatest invention known to man is the on-off switch. And you can always turn it off. There are people, there are content creators that I choose not to listen to because I don't like what they got to say. So it's not an issue with me. Turn it off. If people don't like what I'm saying, turn me off. You got other options. If you don't like Sheryl Swoopes, turn her off. Don't listen to the podcast. If you don't like Angel Reese, turn her off. Don't listen to the podcast. If you don't like Caitlin Clark, don't watch the games. Because let's be honest, Caitlin Clark don't really say much. She talk a lot of shit during the game, but as far as comments, and the one thing I'll say about Caitlin Clark, kudos to her, everything has been above board in basketball. She's avoided the politics and all of the other kind of nonsense. She keeps it basketball and she keeps it moving. Angel Reese, she almost got drug into that a little bit. She's been mouthy a couple times, but for the most part, she's kept it basketball. Some people would argue, and you know what? Admittedly, some of her comments, you kind of arch your eyebrow like, really? That's where you going with that? But you always going to have that. And again, you take it or leave it. If you don't like it, don't listen. But we are in the era, the social media landscape. Every little thing that happens, you got to respond. And if somebody doesn't agree with you, everybody goes above and beyond. And it's like, it ain't that big of a deal. I grew up in the 70s, man. I grew up with freeze tag and hose water. I'm good. We can take some tough stuff. We got thick skin. So if you don't like me, just go over somebody else's house and play. That's how we were brought up. So props to you. You try to make it right. But when you get on the broadcast, just keep it simple. Keep it to the game. If you got to talk about Caitlin Clark, just talk about Caitlin Clark. Don't make it look like you mad about something. Because the truth is, that's what it looks like. I don't know if that's the case, but that's what it looks like.